All right, everybody, welcome to day 3 of the Mind, Body, Spirit Evolution Summit. I am so beyond excited to introduce our first speaker today. Danelle Gal is a trauma-informed somatic coach who guides mystical, ambitious women to expand their nervous system's capacity for more wealth, love, and pleasure. I am just so excited. I'm getting like nervous introducing her. Okay. Her approach is rooted in body, recognizing that true transformation happens when we connect with our physical and sensations and the wisdom that we all hold. She specializes in helping exquisitely sensitive, creative women who know they're meant for more, but find themselves stuck in patterns of people pleasing and self sabotage. I am like so excited about this woman. I gotta tell you, and I looked this up, so I might sound creepy, but I looked up the first time that I ever like really wanted to connect with you, and it was September 27th, 2024, and you wrote a message that I had commented in this group that we're in, and there's two things that really stuck out in your message that I was like, oh my God, who is this woman? I need to start following her, and just like got engulfed in all the things that you say. And you've inspired me in so many different ways. But one of the things was that you said, fear is just excitement without breath. And that blew my mind because I had an experience that I had no words to describe, but it like I connected with that. And the other thing you said was, as humans, our subconscious minds love internal drama and emotional pain. Your subconscious mind doesn't care about peace and harmony. It wants the most exciting, interesting feelings and sensations. Like, I just love this woman so effing much. She's so inspiring, and if you are not following her, you need to follow her. Her content is amazing. So welcome, welcome, and I will like fade into the background and let you do your thing.
Oh, you're so sweet. I love you. I'm so happy to have connected with you. And thank you, everyone, for being here, Leanna, and whoever's joining in the replay. This is one of my favorite topics ever. I'm just going to get right into it. We're talking about spirit guides, we're talking about working with them. I think I have a very unique take on spirit guides. And I think what you'll find, or what you will find, is I'm going to use a lot of different words interchangeably throughout this session. I'm going to use the word God, spirit, spirit guides, the universe, unconscious mind, deep inner self. I'm going to use everything interchangeably. They all mean the same things here. Okay, so that's kind of my ideology. It's all related, it's all the same. So, okay, let's ground down. I want you to find an object. I have a little rock and a drink. Okay, it can just be a really simple glass of water. I'm going to give you just like a moment to gather an object that feels like kind of special, and a drink, because we're going to use them in the practice. So I'm just going to keep talking as you do that. I am a, nervous system coach. Yeah, Felicia gave an excellent introduction and just like warms my heart to be in her space. I think she's just an amazing human and we're friends and I love her. So when you are in a state of fear and stress, it is very hard to solve your own problems. Okay. You're trying to either run away from something or run towards something else, right? We have fight, flight, freeze, fawn on the nervous system level, stress responses, right? We're trying to get somewhere else. Okay, so spirit to me, God, the unconscious, the universe lives in that space in between running away from something and running towards something else. So I want you to really like, you can close your eyes here if you're sitting down or laying down. Feel into who you are on an energetic level when you are not trying to escape from something, from an emotion, from a person, from an idea, from yourself, right? And you are also not trying to run towards something else. That means you are not performing, you are not trying to get something, right? There's the stillness and the silence in this liminal space. It's literally the present moment, right? When you're not running away, from, or towards. I want you to notice something, that being present is not often comfortable. I think we learn from like monks and like meditation and like all these ideas about like presence, just be present, right? It is fucking intense to be present a lot. It's why we try to avoid it so often. It's why our nervous systems want to pop us out of the moment and into trying to run away and run towards, right? We're trying to get to comfort, trying to get to a place that feels safe. So I want you to notice in this practice that we are doing, we are revering that liminal space that kind of contains everything, right? Stillness, there's pain in the body that might come up when you're genuinely present that you've been kind of avoiding or, trying to ignore or suppress. There's tension in the body, probably. I just want you to notice with your breath, who are you in that space? And we are just going to welcome, like literally open the doors for all of the things that we might deem like good, like relaxation and openness, but then also the things that we deem bad in our human selves, right? The tension, the pain, the discomfort. That is all part of the present moment. I invite you to just be here because this is where spirit lives. This is where we can access our spirit realm. So what are spirit guides? You can close your eyes the whole time during this session, by the way, or you can open them at this point. We're going to go back into a practice in a couple of minutes. But what your spirit guides and your inner self and your intuition, all the same, again, love, what this, we can say this part of you, this spiritually connected part of you loves, is a sense of humor. Our spirit guides, our inner self, love when we are just not taking life so seriously. This part of us also loves slowing down, presence, again, the discomfort and comfort of just being present, giving yourself space, physically or metaphorically, non-judgment, no pressure. All of these things come when we are in a state of receptivity, when you are energetically or literally leaning back. So I want you to lean back now, wherever you are, in your chair, in your bed, or if you're like taking a walk, just imagine energetically you are just being receptive. You are kind of leaning back in your body and you are allowing the answers to come to you instead of trying to chase answers or run away from them. And what you'll find when you lean back, right when I did that, I felt a wash of tiredness come over me. I saw this quote one time that was like, I want you to be so relaxed and at peace that you feel a little bit tired. And it just turned on something for me because I think as humans in like this society, we're so like stressed and urgent. And we start to see tiredness as a bad thing. But I want you to notice when you're in a state of receptivity and leaning back and letting go, you might feel tired, and that's perfect. Let yourself. So our first job is to lean back, let yourself literally feel supported, supported by the chair underneath you, supported by the bed, supported by your feet. Notice any resistances or blocks keeping you from feeling completely supported. Start to let them dissolve, melt away. Take a couple breaths, couple moments, close your eyes if you can. Start to elongate your exhales. When we take long exhales, we are signaling to our nervous system that we are safe. Creates a feedback loop in the body. I am safe. I am safe because I don't have to run away from like a wild animal trying to hunt me down. Long exhales symbolize safety, relaxation. And we are here to just play. I want that to be an intention as well. Playfulness, sense of humor, lightness, letting go, having fun. openness to exploring what is going on in your unconscious, in the spirit realm, that is just very bespoke to you. It's your spirit world is completely your own. I want you to notice as you're leaning back energetically and maybe physically, where are the places in your life that you don't feel in trust right now? Because the secret intention of this class is trust. It's just trusting yourself. It's trusting yourself to know the answers, for your inner self, for your spirit guides to show you the answers, for your intuition to lead the way, right? So, where are the places in your life, in your body, that you do not feel in trust, that you do not feel supported? And you just have to feel the sensations. You don't need to do anything about it, just notice. And I want you to also notice what needs to shift inside of you to open your channel. What does trust feel like to you? Because we can flip into it with our magical human brains. We can model how we do feel when we're in trust, and we can bring it to us right now. What does trust feel like to you? What is your experience of feeling totally safe and at peace and trusting? In other words, what would you need to think and believe and feel to be trusting of your spirit guides, the universe, God, your inner self? What story would you have to tell yourself so that you can channel your spirit guides, your spirit world, so you can connect to your spirit world, your inner self, so you can create a direct connection to your intuition and your spirit guides? What would you have to tell yourself? Okay. If you have your object, I want you to grab it. If it can fit in your hand, put it in your hand. If not, put it in front of you. And we're just starting this practice now, Darlene, so you can close your eyes. Long exhales, have your object either in your hands or in front of you, your special object. And I want you to greet your object, say hello to your object with a sense of lightness. Tell this object it is going to become a house for one of your spirit guides. It's going to become a container for one of your spirit guides, because we humans love having some kind of physical object to make these things tangible that are so intangible, like intuition and spirit guides, right? So telling your object, you are going to become a container for one of my spirit guides. And you might notice a spirit guide might pop through right away. Just trust what comes into your mind and your body, right? Could be an ancestor, could be just like a light being. It could be a rainbow. It could be an animal. It can be something from nature, an image. Long exhales. Be patient. No pressure. If nothing comes through right now, that's also perfect. Start to ground into your body as you're sending this heat and this energy into the object. Asking a spirit guide to walk into the object, to infuse the object with its nature, with its soul. And I want you to gently notice the existence of your feet, your ankles, your knees, your thighs, your hips, pelvis, yoni, lower back, organs, up to your chest, shoulders, down your back, down your arms, fingers, fingertips, shoulders, neck, throat, back of your neck, facial muscles relax, your eyes, your cheeks, your jaw, your ears, your whole face. And allowing some golden light to start to swirl around your head, around your crown, and then directing this light into your object. Lean back. Imagine you are being held in the palm of your spirit guide energetically, as it is also infused in your object, safe, held, nothing to do, no one to be, kind of just like being a baby. And I want you to ask your spirit guide, who's now housed in this object, show me what I need to see. You will perhaps have images come up, feelings, sensations, sentences, words, impressions. Let everything come through. Don't discount anything. Show me what I need to see. Let what is shown to you rise up like bubbles from the bottom of a lake. Have no expectation or timeline of how or when they arise. Slow down. All that exists is this moment. Let it not make sense. Your logical mind is just kind of sitting over in a corner, eating a cookie. It's not super invited to this show. It's your emotional world, spirit realm. Show me what I need to see. Maybe that's the next step for you. Maybe it's something to take care of yourself. Maybe it's something to feel or say. Show me what I need to see. Long breaths. Let your object speak to you, through you. Letting your shoulders relax, face relax, jaw, chest opens, heart opens, receptivity, lean back. Show me what I need to see. And if you want to, you can grab a pen and a piece of paper. And you can write down what has come up. Again, everything is valid. Do not discount any images, words, textures, and sensations that come up. They don't have to make sense. They don't have to be cohesive. They can seem random. Let it all come up, because what you are doing is you are setting an intention, a container to be shown from your deep inner self, trusting that whatever comes up is exactly what needs to come up. Take a couple more breaths here. You can write down anything that comes up if you want to, or just notice, acknowledge it. You can gently start to come back to the surface. Take your time. And I encourage you to use this practice. It's so simple. Just grab an object, create some lightness, a sense of humor, receptivity, lean back, openness to whatever's going to come through is perfect. Not discounting anything. Send that energy into the object. Ask the object to magnetize a spirit guide. It could have a name, it could have a form, a shape, whatever is perfect. Bring the energy into the object. Ask the object to show me what I need to see. And again, drop into that state of receptivity and then write down what comes up. This practice is so simple, but it has answered so many questions in my life over and over and over and over. Like it is quite magical. So yeah, thank you.
Yay! Thank you. I didn't want to like leave because I have this attached on my headphones. But I have a harmonica that I specifically bought for a retreat that I'm going to because I'm trying to learn how to play it. And I was like, oh, this is my object.
That's literally
I
perfect.
know, I love it. Thank you so much. Thank you for being here. You are amazing, like always. And I'll link all of your information in the email that goes out to recap this amazing session. So thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Felicia. Thank you for everyone for coming. Love you all.
All right, I'm gonna put Danielle back and I'm gonna bring up Eileen, my co-host. Okay. All right. We're just bringing Eileen on. I'm super excited. Let's see. Okay, here we are. Hello, hello.
Hello there.
How are you doing? Welcome back.
Thank you so much for having me back.
Yeah, so for those of you that did not see Eileen the first day that she was on, we were thrilled to have her back joining us for day 3 of the summit. She specializes in guiding women 50 plus from the question, is this all there is, to confidently living their best life, most vibrant lives. With a spiritual background approach rooted in the Enneagram, law of attraction, and manifestation practices, she helps women elevate their energy, attract meaningful relationships, and create a life filled with joy and purpose. So, whether you're navigating love, partnership, or your own self discovery, Eileen's work is all about helping you raise your vibration, align with your desires, and have way more fun along the way. So, today she's going to be bringing her insight into how to raise your vibration to attract your ideal partner. And I'm super excited to dive into this. So I guess let's just like get going since we don't have too much time. So
Let's
um
get into it.
the big one is why does online dating feel so overwhelming or daunting for so many women, especially those over 50?
Online dating is daunting for most of us at any age, but there's more at stake when you are over 50. You know, when we're in our 20s and 30s, we're ruled by emotions and hormones. And then we have some experiences. And because we're not experienced in relationships, some of those experiences aren't so great.
Mhm.
And trust can be broken. And then in your 40s, you're looking at careers, you've got kids, you're raising your kids. And then in your 50s, when you partner up with someone else, they may also have kids. They may also have, you need to merge relationships. There may be assets from a previous relationship. There could have been divorces. There could be a ex-partner, an ex-parenting partner. So there's a lot more at stake when we go into parent or into dating in your 50s.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. And I'm not there yet, but I do have friends that are in their 40s. And just for them, it's definitely very challenging. And you have the whole, like you said, different, people usually have kids from different, um, partners prior. And so there's just a lot of dynamics that they have to navigate there.
Yeah, and so when you meet someone, you know, they're thinking about, are you going to fit into my life?
Hmm.
And you're thinking, are you going to fit into my life? And how are we going to do that? You know, there's chemistry, which is really great and an attraction, but it comes down to compatibility lifestyles as well.
Yes, yes. So you talk about a new way to call in love, vibrational attraction. Can you explain what that means and how it differs from traditional like dating advice?
So a lot of people don't know what vibrational energy is. It is, we broadcast out an energy, whether it's positive or negative. whether we're still in the victim vibration, the negative lower frequencies of our past relationships, we're still in our old story, we haven't processed through the trauma, we haven't grown through the experience, or even taken responsibility for our part in that. We have a responsibility. And as we heal that and we grow and we look at those past experiences of life lessons, what did this teach me? If you change your perspective from being victimized to what did I really learn about this and how did this experience make me grow? Can you feel the difference in the energy of that, who someone tells their story over and over?
Mm-hmm.
And so when you meet for a date, if that's what you're opening with is your sad story of the past, you are already starting that connection at a much lower level.
Yeah.
So we broadcast out there, where our frequency is. Does
Yes.
that make sense?
Yes. And I love that. I love that you said that. And I can definitely see um, how that can almost like hinder the person too to want to go on a second date or, continue with that. So I love that. Before we can attract a healthy, aligned partner, you say it's essential to clear the energy of our current vibration. What kind of energy blocks or patterns tend to get in the way?
Energy blocks and patterns, as I said, old stories, the trauma from our childhoods, um, not really seeing life in the spiritual perspective, seeing it from life happening to you instead
Mm,
of for you. And when we go into a more spiritual perspective and looking at it differently, we can release a lot of this. There's so many things that when we go to meet someone, we're taking a lot of our stuff with us. And one of the things that a client of mine said to me, he said, I hear so much about women and the big hearts they have. I don't know where those women are.
uh,
And as I look at my own dating experiences in past and healing that even some of it that I've recently gone through, I didn't realize I had walls up. I didn't realize that unconsciously because I felt so trapped in my marriage that I was really pushing men away. And
mm,
that was a real revelation for me. And I started to observe myself and see that I wasn't in the beginning all that friendly. I wasn't all that trusting. I had walls up. And when you go to meet someone, they feel that energy. That's a low vibration energy.
yeah, yeah, that makes complete sense. And I'm just thinking of past conversations with some friends that are, when they say like I don't want to get hurt or
Right.
yeah, I don't know. I want to say this to this person, but I want them to say it first. I feel like those are the type of conversations that have those blocks.
Yeah, one of the steps to raising your vibration, one of those, as we're speaking on this topic, is the fear. Trust has been broken in previous relationships, whether it's just because it didn't work out or there could have been all sorts of issues between the two of you. When you come to realize that every experience is an opportunity for growth for you, and how you handle that, it's a different perspective. And so the fear and the lack of trust is a lack of confidence in yourself. The fear that it might not work out. Well, you survived it, right? You
Hmm.
survived the last one. And you're probably much stronger than you are now. And you're not the same person that you were back then. You need to realize that you've grown and this time you'll handle it better. You'll be more conscious. You'll be more confident in your own self. And when I talk about confidence, of course, I'm always going to go back to the Enneagram personalities
Hmm.
because it is the foundation of really understanding who you are, what's your value, what do you bring in a partnership for your personality, what patterns sabotage you, what personalities are most compatible for you.
I love that. And yeah, since we're talking about the steps, you created a five-step process to help women raise their vibration and attract their ideal partner. So can you walk us through what those steps are and why they're so powerful?
when you begin the manifesting process with me, we go through identifying what are our limiting beliefs about ourselves. Dating beliefs are there are no good men, all the good ones are taken, they're only after one thing. Can you hear the low vibration
Mm-hmm.
in there? Well, guess what? If that's your limiting beliefs, if that's your foundational beliefs, you are putting that out there, and like a magnet,
Mm-hmm.
the universe will give you back what you put out vibrationally. So, like a magnet, that's the type of men you are attracting back to you, because that's what you're putting out. That's what's familiar. And Eckhart Tolle talked about having a pain body, an energy field around us. And if our pain body is still with the trauma, with the drama, with the victim story, the old past, we are going to resonate with other people that are at that same level.
Mm.
And so we need to do the inner work to release that and heal that. And then we talked about the walls that we have up that we're unconscious of. And I've done inner work for like 30 years plus, and it was a revelation to me not all that long ago that because I felt so trapped in my marriage, and I was afraid to hurting people and
Mm-hmm.
and leaving. That's what's been holding me back. Wow. Imagine that. And then the clearing of the energy of past relationships. And as I said, when you shift your perspective of what's happened to you to what was the benefit of that, and what did I learn, and how have I grown, and now I'm stronger, now I'm clearer, now I'm getting really, really clear in the manifestation process. We become very clear on what we want for lifestyle, for the traits in a partner, for what is our life going to look like, and we start manifesting that. We start focusing on what like we are in that life right now. And what does that life look like to have that ideal partner for us? And I talked about the Enneagram. Um, to me, there's just nothing more that will give us more information of ourselves and ourselves in relationships, and how to be really open to more possibilities and fun and opportunities.
I love that. So how does doing this vibrational work shift the dating experience? What changes have you seen in women who embrace this approach?
Well, as they go through the process and they do a discovery of their life, it really is about excavating. And a lot of us have not taken the time to, what is it that I really desire? What is it that I really want in my life? What else could I have in my life? Um, I never believed it was possible years ago that I would live on a beach in Mexico for 6 months of the year.
I love that.
It was just, but I put it on a vision board. And there I am for 4 years now. I live right on the beach in Mazatlan, Mexico, having the most amazing experiences. I'm in my 70s, and as I've opened myself up to more, I'm dating more than I have in my 50s. And that's because men can feel from me an openness, an acceptance of them, a curiosity about them, letting go of expectations of the meeting or the outcome. Because I learn everything. I learn each time I meet someone.
Yeah.
I go, oh, isn't that interesting? I've learned that men are way more sensitive than I ever believed
Hmm.
possible. And
Hmm.
I've learned that they've been hurt too, and they've been felt taken advantage of. They have lost trust as well. And so when you go into a dating experience with an even keel of being curious and understanding and accepting, it changes the experience.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that. I gotta say, when I first started dating my now fiance, it was funny because early on, I don't remember why, but I remember him saying, um, tell me if this is going anywhere, because if it's not, I don't want to waste my time. And I remember thinking like, oh my gosh, what a crazy way to think about dating somebody. And I was like, I don't think any experience with somebody is a waste of time. Like we're always learning, whether we, learn that we're not right for each other or not, you're gonna take away so many things from this relationship. And so I love that you said that because I think that um, we're always experiencing somebody, and even if you go on one date, there's so many things to learn about yourself and about that person. So not thinking that it's like we're trying to rush through and find that final person that's gonna, make our life complete. And I'm on the side of believing that you make your life complete and then other people just add to it. So I love that you said that.
And men can sense that whether you're coming in with judgments, your big wagon pulling behind you, and you can sense it from them as well, right? It's when you sense that in someone, they have a fear of being rejected. They have a fear of not being accepted.
Hmm.
They've lost trust. So when I go in and I open conversations and it's general and it's just so tell me about your dating experiences. You can start out with what's the worst date you ever been on, or tell me about the train wrecks you've been on, or um, you start out with humor or with fun, and everything shifts. The old paradigm of the general way that people go into dating shifts everything, right? It's not an interview.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
you can even start out. I don't know whether we'll be compatible, because for me, one of the biggest things in my timeline now is compatibility,
Hmm.
lifestyle compatibility. Is this a man who's going to fit into my going away for 6 months, in the interests that I have, in the
Yeah.
mindset that he has? Is he positive? Is he somewhat conscious? Um, those are the things I'm looking for. Is chemistry important? Yep. I've also had chemistry, and the lifestyle wasn't there, and it folds like a house of cards after a
Yeah, yeah.
while. So therefore, lifestyle compatibility is really, really important.
Yeah, that's so true. So, the last question I have before we have to wrap up is for someone who feels discouraged or like love has passed them by, what would you say is the most important place to start in that journey of vibrational attraction?
Every experience in our life is here to teach us how to grow, how to learn life lessons,
Hmm.
how to become more conscious, how to grow ourselves. So everything that we've experienced, if we go back and reframe it to the positive, shifts our energy. Um, it doesn't matter what age you are. What makes a difference is how you're living your life. And I have learned to live on a higher vibration, which brings me happiness. I'm moving back into my house here for the next 6 months. I had my, I had a picture of a house similar to the house I have now
Hmm.
on a vision board.
Oh my gosh,
I could show it to you. End
that's
unit,
crazy.
condo, walkout basement, right to the tree out front. I show this to people and they go, oh my gosh.
That's so awesome.
It's about living my life with more joy. As I move back into this house and I reorganize it, I said to my son the other day, I could not have manifested a better house for me anywhere. I am so happy to be in this house, in this community, where I am located in this city, all of it. And I did that by manifesting, and manifesting is clarity. The picture
Hmm.
helped with the clarity, whether it's pictures, and that's why I mentor people. I mentor couples, I mentor singles. Um, I want you to live the best life you can have, and most importantly, have more fun.
Yes, I love it. I love it. Thank you so much for coming back and speaking with us. I will put all of your things on the replays, and everybody needs to go find you, follow you, and reach out to you because you're amazing.
Thank
So
you.
thank you so much, Eileen.
So what I want to offer each and every one of you is I offer a free, whether it's dating or whether you're in a relationship or you just want to grow to live your best life, I offer you a free session. There's no pressure. I have the Enneagram test on my website that's free where I verify it. There's many uh, gifts that I have for you. I want you to thrive and I want you to have more fun and I want you to live your best life.
I'm gonna take you up on that because I want to see what my Enneagram is. I'm so intrigued by that. So thank you so much.
Thanks for having me on.
All right, I am going, oops, 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 wait. I don't want to rename you. I want to pop you back in. Okay. And then I am bringing up okay, sorry. Rena's coming back on. Yeah. Okay, hello.
Hi,
I'm so excited to welcome you back.
thank
Raina
you.
Cipher is here and she's joining us again for day 3. She's a transformational coach who bridges science and spirituality. She ignites human design and nervous system regulation to support deep-rooted root level healing. She helps men and women create powerful spiritual and relationship transformations, guiding them to step fully into their legacy they were here to live. You might have remembered yesterday, but in case you forgot, she comes from a background of chemical engineering, nursing, and entrepreneurship, plus her experience as a devoted mom of 3. Raina brings both grounded wisdom and expansive insight to everything she does. Today, she's returning with a special treat for us, a group oracle reading to help you receive intuitive messages, reconnect to your path, and gain spiritual clarity. I'm super excited to see what comes up in the cards, and I'll let you dive into this soul nourishing session.
Yeah, I wanted to ask real quick, Felicia, if it was okay that if I went over what oracle cards were and that kind of thing and kind of give like a framework before we go
Yeah,
into all of
yeah.
it, because um, I really feel like this is something everybody can do. It doesn't take like a special thing, but often it seems intimidating. And so
Hmm.
I just wanted to kind of give a framework if you're okay with
Oh, I
that.
love that. Yes.
And then I'll pull a card for everybody at the end and we'll kind of ground and center together if that's okay.
Awesome. Perfect.
Okay, good. Okay, so a lot of us in the spiritual slash woo world, we use tools to help us understand our intuition and our higher selves better. But Oracle cards have been in my world for over 7 years. This is actually my first deck that I got. It's Kyle Gray's Angels and Ancestors Oracle cards. And I had that deck and only that deck for a very long time. And so I really got to know it very well. And I used it for many, many things through some of the hardest times of my life. Um, and what I wanted to do was kind of go over what oracle cards were and kind of talk about the difference between oracle cards and tarot and, see if we can um, kind of give ourselves an opportunity to use oracle cards. You don't have to have any special skills to do them. You just have to be able to ground, connect, listen to your higher self. I believe somebody was talking about that earlier today in an earlier session. So connecting to your higher self, this is just a tool that takes that kind of one step further. And so I love oracle cards. I think that oracle cards are really important to have in your toolbox, but they are just a tool. And I think that there's a lot of misconception about who can use them and what they're for. So, real quick, what are oracle cards? They are a tool for self guidance and reflection. Basically, they're a mirror of your higher self telling you. What you can do, what you're capable of, kind of validating your current situation. Oftentimes, I find when I use them with my clients, we are using them in a space of they have like a situation that they want further clarity on. And this is really helpful in order to kind of say, okay, this is actually where I am. And the message from their higher self gives them that validation and clarity so that they know maybe a perspective they haven't seen before in order to move forward. So each each of them, each card has a message on it. It's like a gentle nudge from your higher self. And I just want to clear up the fact that they're not really about predicting the future. I mean, I think sometimes you can use tarot in that way. I prefer oracle cards. I do have tarot and I do like it, but I feel much more at home with oracle cards because they're a little bit more free form and I'm less structured and more free form. And so I like that. But they're more about helping you tune into what's already going on inside you and around you instead of predicting for the future. They're also really not for yes or no kind of questions. And we'll get into that a little bit. But I use them for myself, for my clients. They're part of my morning ritual when I do them in the morning. They help when you feel stuck or overwhelmed or just need that fresh perspective in your life. So these messages can come from your higher self, your angels, your spirit team, God, source, whatever you believe in. You can use these as a tool in order to get those extra messages. So tarot, on the other hand, is like a fixed structure. Okay, there's like 78 cards. They have major arcana cards that represent big life themes, and then they also have 56 minor arcana cards, which give you like there's cups, swords, wands, pentacles. They kind of have a different theme in each one of those, and each one of those cards has a very specific kind of message, which is also open to interpretation. But and it means something if they're upside down or straight. There's just more structure, I think, to tarot. And there are different kinds of spreads you can do with both tarot and oracle cards, but I like oracle cards because it's way more free form. And so each deck is going to have something special. The author of that deck has an interpretation for each card. Some decks have like 30 cards. Some decks have like 70 cards. And so picking a deck is going to be really important for you too. I mean, it's not just any deck that you're looking for, but you can start with whichever one you are drawn to. So the themes vary, the number of cards vary. Each deck has its own like personality, its own energy. It's more on the intuitive side, which makes it really great for beginners and people who kind of don't. I don't know. I think like tarot is kind of very serious, and oracle cards are kind of like, hey, let's just see what's going on today. And so there's no set structure with an oracle card deck, and they have different themes. Like I said, you can even have like a moon deck. There's a spirit animal deck. You can kind of there's probably a deck for anything that you are into, anything you're drawn to, plants, animals, the moon, literally anything. I think the chakra system and every deck is completely different from the one before it. Some of them actually have different guided messages for like prosperity messages. They have relationship messages. They have overall messages, and each one of those is broken down, which I love. So whoever's making the deck, the author gets to choose it, which means there's no rules to memorize. There's no suits or anything to memorize. You kind of just get to go with the flow in the moment, and I like that a lot. So, if you like tarot's your thing, then, obviously that's great. But I'm going to talk a little bit more about how to use oracle decks today. So when you get an oracle deck, first of all, choosing your oracle deck needs to be like very an intuitive kind of thing. Like whichever one you're drawn to, you're not going to go wrong with choosing an oracle deck. If you feel like you really like something, then go for that, because that's where you're going to actually be able to connect more easily to your higher self. If you pick a deck that doesn't feel right in you, you're going to be like, I don't really want to use it. And then your vibration kind of drops. And so when you want to connect to your higher self, you want that vibration to be a little bit higher. And once you really like something and feel into the energy of the deck, you're more likely to get the connection you're looking for. So I wanted to go over a little bit about how to open a new deck, because it is a little bit of a ritual if you want to follow it. This is how I do it. It's not just you. I mean, you can just rip up, open a deck and start using it, but you'll get a lot more benefit from your deck if you develop kind of like a relationship with it. And how I like to do that is, it's kind of like meeting a new friend, or you're just building that relationship. This is a tool that connects you to your higher self. And so for me, it's a little bit more, it's more sacred, but also more fun and deep, if that makes any sense. So often each deck will come with a guidebook. So I'll use this this one as an example. So there's a bunch of cards in it, and then it comes with a book. And so the book gives you an interpretation, the author's interpretation of the card, and you can also use your own interpretation of the card. I like this is my one of my most favorite cards from this deck, and my camera's not great at focusing, but it's the Protection Guardian, and it's just so beautiful. But if you look at it, you can actually pick out the colors and the energy of just the vibe of the card itself and make your own interpretation from that, or you can use the interpretation in the book itself. So when you're opening up a new deck, I like to have this like little ritual. Like I feel like it's like a little ceremony that fosters that relationship with my deck. And I like to be by myself in a room where I can be calm and it's kind of quiet. And even the light's kind of down low, so I can kind of get into the mood, into the vibe for opening this up. I like light a candle or diffuse an essential oil or put some music on in the background. And I kind of just ground and center. And the goal is to be like present and open in that situation. So you are connecting with your actual, authentic, true self and not all the external energy that kind of comes into your field. So when you can ground and center to the earth and then connect to your higher self, that's when you're going to get the best reading for yourself. And then I like to clear the deck's energy. So you can take the whole deck and knock on it 3 times. You can put the whole deck in like the wafting of the smoke from sage or Palo Santo or incense. You can put a clear quartz crystal on it. Clear quartz is really good for absorbing energy and or selenite and kind of clearing. Anything white is usually pretty good. If you were going to light a candle, you can use a white candle also. You can infuse it with Reiki energy. That's really good too if you know how to do that. And you can hold it to your heart or your third eye and then just deeply breathe in and kind of infuse it with more of that pure light consciousness energy. And then once you've done that, it's good to like set an intention. Like, what do you want this deck to be for? Sometimes people have decks for certain things. Like sometimes there's an abundance deck. You want a deck that just focuses on it's calibrated to the energy, the frequency of money. You can have one that is for relationships. You can have one that's for general. You can have one for your business. You can have one for your kids. I don't necessarily do that very often, but you can. But if you wanted to infuse it with an intention when you open it, you absolutely can. And overall, what you want to do is make sure you're saying that you want these cards to be for your highest and best good and to connect you with your higher self, your spirit guide, your team, your angels, ancestors, whoever you're trying to connect with, and to connect you with your intuition so that you are a clear and free channel to receive the messages from the card. Okay. And then what I do is look through each card one at a time, and I take my time here and I look and see, what each card actually looks like. I get the vibe of it. And so you're actually you're putting your energy into each card. And that way that relationship with the deck is being formed in each card that you're doing. It's like getting to know kind of like the voice and the style of your new relationship, how it's going to go. So, and then if you wanted to after that, once you've gone through all the cards, you can do a first pull or first reading for it, saying, what does the energy of this deck want to bring into my life? What do I need to know about working with this deck? And, pull 1, pull 3 cards, whatever you feel comfortable with. This begins that relationship with, and sets the tone for future guidance with your deck. And then if you want to store it, you can store it in a special cloth. You can store it with a crystal on top, but it will have your energy in it. And so if you use it to go, if you lend it to somebody else to use or to borrow, make sure you clear it when you get it back, going kind of through the same process again to reconnect with it and put your energy back into it. So hopefully that makes a little bit of sense. And then I kind of wanted to talk a little bit about how to do a reading, if you think we have time for that, Felicia.
Yeah, probably like you think it'll be 5 minutes or so? Okay, cool.
Yeah, yeah. real quick. Okay, so when you set an intention, it's good to like pause and breathe. So if you get your deck out and you've done all those things, the thing is, what do I need to know today? And that's a very general question. It's a very beginner question. You can ask, what do I need to know today? And, you know, if you have a more specific question of, can you please provide me guidance on my relationship? Or can you please tell me what I need to do in order to create more abundance in my life? Or, you know, it's a really good idea to ask open-ended questions. Yes or no questions don't usually get very far because these decks have a more elaborate message to them. And then a lot of times you can either, I like to shuffle until one falls out. Basically, you can also spread them all out on like a surface and see which one you're guided to. I tend to overthink a lot with those. And so I like to just do it until one falls out. And you know, that's something I don't really have a lot of control over. And so I feel like the message is more divinely inspired instead of me kind of picking it out. But, you know, do whichever one feels good for you. And so you can ask questions of like, what kind of energy do I need to embody today? What's the lesson in this challenge? Where can I focus my attention right now? What is the deeper truth? Don't ask future questions of what's when, like time oriented questions, because in the spirit world, time does not exist and is not a linear thing. And so they don't really communicate with you, your higher self, your spirit team, God source. They don't communicate with you in a time perspective necessarily, but it's a really good idea to use just open-ended questions. Okay, so I think we talked about everything else. And that was kind of just a really quick kind of how to do this for yourself, because I would love to empower people to be able to do it for yourself. So grounding and connecting is the biggest thing, right? Because you don't want any frantic energy to come into your reading. And so if you're in a heightened emotional state, just make sure that kind of passes, or that you can ground in, you know, use any of my nervous system regulation tools from yesterday and we can, you know, kind of recenter yourself and ground in that. And so if you are reading for somebody else, make sure that you've grounded and cleared your energy before asking questions on their behalf. And don't ask questions for them without their permission, just from an ethical perspective. You have the power to do readings like this when you can connect to your higher self, and you can connect to their team as well, but don't do that without permission. And I just want to clear that. Okay. Now I'd love to do a quick reading for, I know we're almost out of time, for everybody, but if we can ground and connect together real quick, I just want to show you how we do this, and then I will shuffle and pull a card if that's okay. I was actually drawn to this deck for our card reading today. It's Rebecca Campbell's Work Your Light. And she's got some really good bright cards in here. So I'm going to use that quickly. Let's ground and center. And I like to sit up straight, and I like to close my eyes. You can lower your gaze and leave my palms open on my lap with my feet flat on the floor. And then I just kind of just take a scan of my body and try to release any tension from head to toe. If I notice any tension, I give it permission to release, at least acknowledge its presence. And then I imagine a bright white light coming in through the top of my head as the energy flows down through the base of my spine, down through my legs, down through the bottom of my feet, into the earth, deep, deep, deep into the core of the earth as it grounds down into Mother Earth, as the energy roots in, imagining the roots of a tree grounding down into the earth as you are solid and stable. Just taking a deep breath here, in through the nose and out through the mouth. And I can kind of feel when I feel like settled and grounded and connected. And so the more you practice what that is and how you feel connected to yourself, you'll know when you're ready. And from there, I just start shuffling and asking the card, what does the collective need to know today? And we're just going to use that card for right now as I shuffle here. And I mean, I kind of just loosely shuffle because, you know, I don't try to control which ones come out or what I need, you know, what order. And I do it face down, these decks, because I don't like any kind of perception to come into my field. I kind of just like to know. And sometimes it takes a little bit, and when you pull a card, and you doesn't feel like it's the one you're supposed to like it doesn't feel right, like it must be wrong, keep going with it, because it might not be something you need to know today, but it might be something that your higher self or your spirit team or whoever is trying to give you this message, because you might need it later. So don't discount anything that comes up. And then if something pops out while you're shuffling, and it doesn't necessarily fall out, the only time I reshuffle is when, see, this whole deck flipped over, and so I'm going to use the top one here. If I get like 50 cards that fall out all at the same time, and I'm like, let's get some more clarity here. Okay, so the one that got pulled out here is Sisterhood of the Rose, Beauty, Devotion, Priestess, Mystic, and Teacher. And that's a beautiful card for the collective today. I don't know if you can see it, but I can send Felicia a screenshot and put it in the notes or something. But let me read here what it says. But first, I really wanted to show you like the colors. I mean, there's a triangle at the top, and you can see like all the women down here at the bottom, kind of all in kind of spiritual energy all together. And they're in this space of that collective energy. And collective energy is so, so beautiful, I think, because one person can do a lot, but all together we can rise. Absolutely. Okay, so I'm going to read what it says in the book, because that's what I like to do, to give a little bit of background to what the message is that the author intended for this. So, the Sisterhood of the Rose is a lineage of priestesses and mystics who devoted their lives to serving humanity and seeding light consciousness all over the earth. And I think that if you're here today, or you're watching this on the replay, you are part of that. A cross section of ancient lineages is the path of devotion and beauty. Walking this path means devoted to seeing and creating beauty wherever you go. The rose symbolizes the heart and the sacred geometry of all of life. You're being called to notice the beauty around you, particularly in nature, and hear the whispers of Mother Earth. You're being called to spend more time in nature, as all the ancient secrets live there. Mother Earth is constantly whispering. Spend time admiring her creations, and you'll be rewarded with insight and grace. You're being called to take a little more time to both notice the beauty that exists all around you and contribute to the beauty of the world in your own way, too. This could be through your own creations or in the little things like how you dress to picking flowers for your home. And every time you devote your time to creating beauty, you harmonize the planet a little more, and the shift in vibration can be felt. Surround yourself with beauty and create beauty wherever you go. And I think that card is so beautiful, because you get to see like how powerful the present moment is. It brings in that idea of sisterhood, of gratitude, of raising your vibration, so that we can all be in this collective energy, and so that we can all rise together. Because I believe all of that is so powerful. And once you're in that mindset, you can really kind of you can connect not only to yourself, but to the consciousness that gives all of us. And so, consciousness itself is love. And that is such a higher frequency than sometimes we believe that we're in. And so that's just a reminder and a quick way to use Oracle decks. And if anybody has any questions, I'm happy to answer them. And if you're here today, I would like to offer you a one card reading. And I'll give Felicia that link too, that I can send it through DMs. So happy to connect with anybody who would like one.
Oh my gosh, that was awesome. And what a beautiful card to pull for today. It was
Yeah,
amazing. And
I
I love
know.
Rebecca Campbell's decks. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, so
Oh,
perfect.
thank
It
you.
always is, though, That's the best thing, is that,
Yeah.
I mean, the cards don't lie. And sometimes what the information they give you is just something you're either missing, you haven't seen, or you keep getting the repeated message, but you just needed it here one more time, you know?
Yes.
Yeah, so I love this tool so much. And I've seen the miracles from it. So
Awesome.
I'm
And
glad.
yeah, thank you for giving us an overview of that too. That was amazing.
Yes, I'm glad. I mean, I know that's a short time, but
Mhm.
one card for the collective. And if you guys can learn how to do this yourselves, please ask me questions because I really want to empower everybody to be able to use this for themselves. But if you're not comfortable, happy to do it for you.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for being with us again, and that was amazing.
Thank you.
Thanks. Okay, let's um okay, Michelle, are you ready? All right, we're bringing Michelle up here. Hello, hello. Oh my goodness. Thank you
How
so much.
are you?
I am doing amazing. How are you?
Doing well.
I'm so excited to have you on today. Let me introduce you all to Michelle Manley. She is a Soma spiritual mentor, Reiki master teacher, Jungian tarot card reader, and multidimensional healer with a unique approach that blends that somatic embodiment, energy work, metaphysics, and deep mindset transformation. As an overcomer of a time in a cult, an abusive marriage, and debilitating chronic pain, Michelle has reclaimed her sovereignty and now guides others to do the same. She helps her diverse clients cultivate a deeper relationship with themselves and find their unique equilibrium. As a queer and neurodiverse practitioner, Michelle hears the voice of those who feel unheard and is committed to providing a safe, nurturing space for healing and expansion. Michelle, I know this is not going to be the last time that we collaborate because you are so amazing and we have so much in common, and I cannot wait to speak with you today. So, welcome, welcome, welcome.
Thank you. And I agree. It's been such a delight to get to know you. Like
Yes.
so aligned.
I love it. I love it. Well, let's dive straight in. So I have a couple questions here for you today. And my first one is you have such a powerful story of reclaiming your sovereignty after a deep personal trauma. How has this journey shaped the way you approach these energetic boundaries today?
I had no boundaries. Like coming out of my time in my cult, coming out of the time in an abusive marriage, and we're talking a long time, probably 18 years altogether, that I was disempowered. So I came out with no boundaries, and learning to reclaim them both here in the 3D world was hard enough, but then you add in like the energetic
Right?
piece. It's been a journey. But I would say that the energetic piece is something that I love because it gives me the extra oomph to maintain the 3D ones. That gives me that energetic backing that allows me to, establish my boundaries with a clearer voice.
Oh my gosh, I love that. Yeah, and that's so true too. Um, and I think for a lot of us, and I mean, I shouldn't speak for the collective, but I know just being young and a people pleaser at heart, unfortunately, boundaries are just so hard, even when you're just dealing with personalities and personal space and things like that. And also my background in Reiki and things like that, I've had to learn those energetic ones as well. So I'm super interested into hearing more. And my next question for you is, in your experience as a am I saying this right? A Soma spiritual mentor?
Yep,
Okay.
yep, that's it.
And multidimensional healer, what are some common signs that someone's energetic boundaries are being crossed and they might not even know or realize it?
Oh, you hit on something so
Okay.
important there that so much of this is unconscious that we don't know. But you will find yourself being more drained. If you're more drained after an interaction or after an event or situation, chances are your energetic boundaries were not honored. And again, you may not be honoring them yourself. That is the tricky piece. There's also anger. If you're suddenly kind of irritable and you don't know why, another big clue that something's not quite right there. Depression, this like, oh, I can't get through this anymore. You feel like you're dragging a lead weight. All of these are clues. And really it comes down to really getting in touch with yourself physically, in your body, and then energetically.
I love that. And in my next question, I have, I'm curious as because there is something that I do in my practice, and I'm wondering if that you're going to say maybe something on that. But how can someone better protect and care for their energetic field?
Oh, energetic hygiene. I am like such a proponent of energetic hygiene. And I loved what Marina said in the previous session about grounding and releasing.
Yeah.
That is core to taking care of your energetic hygiene. You
Mhm.
really make sure you are anchored in, either into the cosmos if you're doing deep spiritual work, or here under Gaia if you're trying to, maintain in the 3D world. Really essential. And then I believe very strongly in clearing energy. Is releasing is hugely important, but also clearing. And there are so many techniques you can use.
Yeah.
Elemental stuff like smoke and water and all of those, but then there's the energetic piece, the visualization, the mindset piece.
Yes, I love that. And one of the things that when I started Reiki, I didn't really understand that clearing piece very well. And I kind of was like, really taking a shower is going to get rid of, you know what I mean? Some of it kind of seems like, is this really going to work? But it does. It's true. And what I've been doing, and sometimes I have people that just like friends that are like, oh, when I'm in a crowd, I get really anxious or things like that. I always have them that visualization piece that you mentioned, like visualizing a protective barrier of light. And I have to do that sometimes when I'm in a room and because I'm very empathic and I didn't really understand that when I was younger. And so I would feel so many feelings and I'm like, why am I getting anxious? Why do I feel like I'm gonna cry? Why am I sad? Why am I, and really having to ask myself in the morning like how I'm feeling, and then before I go out and see people, like how do I feel right now in my body, and then like making sure that I do that visualization piece is like one of my main things that I do. And I like you mentioned all of those different things are amazing. And I think sometimes we can adapt something that really resonates with us more than another thing, but mine is like just really when I don't have something to clear like smoke and I don't have access to take a shower or running water or something, it's like I like to envision that, and I do fully feel like it helps just keep me more centered and keep my energy from putting out his little feelers into everybody else's energy, becoming too nice or too acquainted with other people's energies. um
No, I
Sorry.
love that practice. That's actually one of my key practices as well. And sometimes that wall will be permeable, and I'll let the energy in and out, especially if I'm like hanging out with friends or something, totally fine. Other times I see it like cellophane or like a plastic wrap, just kind of protecting me. And then there are certain instances where I'm like, it's black magic marker,
Right.
like nothing is coming through.
I love
That's
that.
definitely. And then I also like the mirror shielding technique, which is really great. Instead of a bubble, you imagine mirrors
Oh, I
facing
love that.
outwards. And what's great about this is if you're in like a contentious situation or a situation with somebody who's like throwing daggers at you energetically, this is really not only protects your energy, but kind of returns to sender
Oh, I love that.
any slings and arrows. So it's really effective.
Oh, that one I have not heard of that, and I need to start practicing that because I love that one.
It's helpful.
So as a queer neurodiverse healer, how do you create a nurturing, inclusive space for clients who may not feel safe expressing their energy in other environments?
I think because what I do is mentorship and gentle coaching, I think there's a little more freedom for me to share a bit more of my story and to,
Mm,
kind of express like, look, this is what I went through. I'm coming from a place of non-judgment
yeah,
because, I've been in some strange situations, I
I
have a
can imagine.
story. And I think, being able to offer that deep empathy and that deep holding of space,
Mm,
engenders a certain degree of trust. And then knowing that I'm also queer and neurodiverse, it's it's like, oh, you get it. You get all the subtle undertext that, isn't necessarily ever expressed, but's there. So, yeah, it's definitely something I enjoy doing deeply.
I love that. I love that. So if somebody is just beginning to explore energy work and wants to establish stronger energetic boundaries, what is one small but powerful practice that they can start today?
Well, I think in addition to the grounding and releasing that we talked about and in the clearing, is calling your energy back. And that is also a way of visualizing. Like for me, I will stand and I'll get really tall, be in a power pose, and I'll just feel like I've called back all my energy that I have left in all timelines, all situations. Because you think about it, there are so many ways that we, even just in good ways, like holding space for somebody, you're still lending energy.
Yeah.
And once that energy is done, we don't think to call it back, but you can. And it is incredibly empowering. I usually do it as part of the grounding and releasing. I call energy back up from the center of the earth, center of Gaia. And I generally will call in my own energy with that to add, oomph.
Yeah. I love that you said that because literally the other day I was walking and I was thinking about like future stuff and sometimes my mind can go in past and future and I don't think it's a bad thing necessarily, but it's how long I'm staying there. And then I was like, "Oh my gosh, I need to like be present in the moment and enjoy this beautiful walk. I'm outdoors in nature. I just really want to be present, and I do feel like when I'm fully present, I get more downloads and things like that. And so I did exactly what you said. I was like I bring all of my energy from past present back to right now. I was like trying to call it back into me so I could focus and also have it like fully there, because even when I'm focusing on the present, like you said, it might still be in these areas, and I was like, no, I want to call it all back into me. So I love that.
And it's interesting. Like if you're in touch with your energy, you will feel it. You will feel it come in. You may even feel it in your body, which is really very cool when it happens. And yeah, it's an often neglected area, but it's very powerful.
Oh, I love that. I love that. So, um, I thank you so much. Is there anything else that you want to add? Those are all the questions that I have for you today.
No, I think the one thing I would say that another easy trick is to take 5 minutes a day and focus on your breath. Just
Mm,
focus on your breath.
yeah.
As you were saying, get fully embody the moment. Um, that then you're coming into this cleansing and releasing all that from a more refreshed space, and you'll just have more, oomph to do what
Yes.
needs to be done.
There was a mentor that I had when I started Reiki that I was like, I just don't know how to meditate. I feel like because I'm somebody that my mind goes, you know, and she was like, I think people confuse meditation. All you need to do is just stop and focus on your breath. So if you ever think, because I was focused on like trying to clear everything, like don't think
Mm-hmm.
about nothing, don't think about nothing. And she's like, no, just focus on your breath and give it like 5, 10 minutes. And that's all you do. Every time your mind wanders, go back to your breath. And I thank her so much to this day for that because it really does help, and it helped me understand like I think the first probably steps of meditation and kind of being in that space of clearing your brain. Even though you're focusing on something, it's helping that.
It's a beautiful practice, and it really does over time really help strengthen those energetic boundaries because
Yeah.
you'll know your own energy better.
Yeah, yeah, I love it. Well, I'm gonna link everything to get in touch with you if anybody wants to speak with you directly about all of the wonderful things that you do. Thank you so much for being part of this and letting us understand a little bit more about those energetic boundaries and how we can work on just having more, as you said it, better spiritual hygiene.
Yes. Oh, and I do have a freebie on my website that I think will be included there. I have 5 very simple rituals to connect with your energy throughout the day. And they're specifically made to be very simple and accessible so that you can start weaving it into your day without,
Perfect.
upsetting the apple cart.
Yes, I love it. Anything simple and easy, I feel like is the most people's focus, right?
Yep,
Uh,
100%.
Awesome. Thank you so much again for being on this. I appreciate you so much, and I hope that you have an amazing rest of your day.
Thank you for this. This was wonderful. Have a good day.
All right, bye,
Bye.
Michelle. Okay, I'm gonna pop you back in, and then Louise. Okay. Hello, hello.
Hi,
Welcome. How are you?
I'm very good. How are you?
I'm doing amazing.
Good.
Let me introduce you to Louise Jeffries. Or I'm sorry, Jeffrey.
Yes.
She's a mindset and transformational coach who empowers conscious and soulful individuals to break through their subconscious and energetic blocks and rewire their identity so that they can manifest the life of their dreams. She is also a certified acupuncturist, eating psychology coach, and clinical hypnotherapist. Oh my goodness. My tongue is
Bit of a
tied.
mouthful.
Yeah.
For
She lives
sure.
in Sydney, Australia with her husband and three boys and two Cocker Spaniels. I love dogs.
Yeah.
Today we're going to be speaking on going from force to flow and rewiring our energetic field to match who we're becoming in the future. I'm so
Mm,
excited to talk to you today, and thank you for being part of this Mind Body Evolution Summit.
no worries. It's beautiful to be here. I'm super excited.
Thank you. Thank you. All right, so let's start here. I want to dive into that from force to flow, and what does that mean to you, and why is it so important?
So it's such a beautiful question because, you know, in the Western world, we're taught a lot of hustle and grind. We're taught to push harder. We're taught to really focus on results, and it's kind of revered, right?
Hmm.
Particularly, I mean, in
Hmm.
men and in women, but it's kind of revered this sort of sense that the harder we push, the more we achieve,
Yeah,
um, the more results we're going to get, and then a lot of our self-worth is kind of tied into that.
for sure.
But the thing is that it's a really interesting thing when you start to kind of come back to energetics and you start to come back to, we've been talking a lot about energy, listening to all these amazing practitioners talk about energy. For years I believed that the only way to succeed was to work harder, to push more, to constantly kind of strive for the next goal. And I was ticking all the boxes and I was doing everything I was supposed to do, but I was also measuring my self-worth by how productive or busy I was or how many results I got.
Mm-hmm.
And honestly, deep down, it kind of felt like something was missing. And no matter how much I achieved, there was always this kind of underlying sense of pressure or exhaustion or
Yeah.
disconnection. And, I was doing everything right on the outside, but on the inside, I was running on fear. And that's how most of us run subconsciously. We don't even realize, right? This fear of not being good enough,
Mm-hmm.
this fear of not doing enough, this fear of being seen. And it wasn't until I really started paying attention to the energy from which my actions were coming from that everything changed. And I realized that true transformation doesn't come from doing more or from changing my behavior or my actions or my results. It comes from aligning my energy, which is my identity and my intention, with the version of me who already lives the life I desired. And it's such an interesting thing when we look at force versus flow. The state that I've been describing to you is essentially a state of force.
Mm-hmm.
And when we move into more of a state of flow, which is actually where we slow down, we become way more present, we start to tap into the guidance that is there for us, we start to raise our consciousness. And when we start to raise our predominant level of consciousness, this is when ideas come more easily. It's when possibilities start to arise. It's when suddenly, instead of doing more, we are becoming more. We're starting to tap into where it is that we want to go, this person that we need to become. And we start to put frequency first. I always teach this, is we have to, the minute that we kind of notice ourselves getting in fear, we're kind of forcing and we're pushing, it's like we're pushing a rock up a hill, we have to slow down. And we have to start to really tap into our frequency, and we have to change our frequency first. And so that's really the difference between force and flow. It's an energetic sensation, feeling, state of being. And so now everything I do is really rooted in who I'm choosing to be and what my frequency is first before anything else.
Oh, I love that. And I can completely resonate coming from a corporate background and then getting into this entrepreneurship where I was like, I have to work this many hours and I have to grow, and like slowly peeling that back and trying to like figure out my own flow within my work. But so I love everything that you just said. There's so many manifestation coaches out there. What makes your approach and work different from others?
So a lot of manifestation coaches really focus on a lot of the surface level techniques like affirmations, positive thinking, visualization, even behavior changes, feelings and states of mind. And while these are helpful, they often don't lead to lasting change or lasting manifestation. We can sometimes manifest things, but we kind of fall back into that same holding pattern again. And why? It's because we haven't really gone to the core of the problem, which is our level of consciousness and our self-perception. And the truth is, as human beings, we built up so many layers to create what Joe Dispenza calls our personal reality, which is so far from the truth of who we are. And my approach goes much, much deeper than just typical manifestation. What I focus on is what we call energetic architecture or identity transformation. And so it helps people to really raise their level of consciousness and to start to tap into their highest potential. And, we often hear people talk about this. It's kind of like, it's a bit of an ethereal concept. It's kind of like, oh, I need to tap into my highest potential or become my highest self. But I take this kind of metaphysical concept and bring the scientific into it because I work with the principles of quantum physics and neuroscience.
Love it.
And really help people to actively and practically apply it to their life. So it's like, how can I do the identity work, which is actually going to shift and change everything in my life and help me to really get where it is that I want to go. And so what I help people to do is to break free from the stories that they've been telling themselves and separate who they think they are. In other words, the stories they tell themselves from who they truly are. And then we start to help them to rewire their identity.
Oh, I love that. So what role does the energetic field actually play in manifestation?
So I love this topic. I could talk about, quantum physics until the cows come home.
I
And I'm
love it.
certainly not a quantum physics expert, but I really understand it quite deeply when it comes to manifestation. But, you and I and everything around us and everybody who's even listening to this summit, including all the objects that are around you in your space and the space in between is made of energy. And our energetic field is like a broadcast signal, and it sends out our thoughts, our subconscious beliefs, our emotions, and our expectations. And, we as human beings, we're always manifesting whether we like it or not. Every situation that you find yourself in now is an expression of your thoughts, of your beliefs, of your emotions, and your expectations. And so when people say, I've tried everything, I hear this often because, people are always like, I've tried everything, but I just kind of, I can't manifest this, or I can't get there. Or if I get there, I kind of keep falling backwards again. It's because they're still being run by their old energy and by their old programs and their old patterns. And these are the lower levels of consciousness. And we don't want to make them wrong, because these old programs and these patterns and these lower levels of consciousness are actually, they're just a gift. They're essentially our darkness, where we can't see the light until we see the darkness, right? Until we tap into that. And so what we start to learn when we're working with energy is that alignment is everything. And so this energetic field is kind of where we need to focus our attention. We've been focusing on the results, we've been focusing on the actions, but we actually need to focus on the energy and the alignment. Does that answer your question?
Yes, yes. I love that. I'm like really into because I like the quantum physics and I love all of that. I could listen to people talk about it. I could chat about it, and I'm just I'm so deeply in your conversation right now.
Beautiful.
So talking about blocks that repel like what we want in life, can you give me an example of how this shows up in your life or how it can show up in somebody's life?
Yes. So the main reason why people kind of come to see me is because they know that they have an internal block, right? They know that there's something holding them back. They're at that point. But this is a very personal journey for me as well, because a few years ago I was really unwell. And this was back in 2016, 2017. My skin was flaring up really badly. I had an autoimmune condition that I developed from some medication that I had taken. And this autoimmune condition was really, really tough. It was very, very painful. It was very, very itchy. I was very, very red and very inflamed. And I'd kind of go through these flares. You know, and I was exhausted. I was run down.
Mm-hmm.
And quite honestly, you know, I just felt like hiding. I was running a business at the time, a
Mm.
coaching business. I had 3 small children to look after. And at the time, I thought it was just physical. And I did lots of things to try and help myself to heal. You know, I was eating whole foods. I was detoxing, celery juice, strict cleansing, acupuncture, because I'm an acupuncturist, Chinese herbs,
Yeah.
light therapy. And whilst all of these were really helpful in calming my nervous system and helping me to heal, I made some headway, but I didn't fully heal. And it was only really when we moved to India for a year in 2019, and we took a year out, and I started doing some deep inner work and meditating a lot more. And I did a program of Dr. Joe Dispenza. I had this huge realization that there was a part of me that didn't want to get better. It wasn't conscious, of course. It was an unconscious pattern.
Mm-hmm.
But what I realized was that staying sick gave me a reason to hide.
Mm.
It gave me a reason to not show up, to not be visible, to not risk putting myself out there in my business. And it was really a safety mechanism, because I don't want to make it wrong, right? It was my ego feeling like it was just too much, like it was too unsafe. And it was my nervous system protecting me from the fear of being seen and being judged. And that's how sneaky our blocks can be, right? They don't
Yeah.
just live in our mindset. They show up in our body, they show up in our nervous system, they show up in our money, in our energy, in our habits, in our business. And until we shift those subconscious patterns and we separate ourselves from our story, they're going to keep running the show.
Yeah.
And they're going to hold us back from our true potential, because the truth is, the moment that we start to uncover what's really holding us back energetically, we start to take back our power. And so I learned to choose the me that decided to be seen despite my fear, to stand in my power, and to choose my highest potential. And my skin's been clear now for over 5 years.
So
And of course, I
amazing.
continue to do the work. It's never just a beginning and an end.
Mm-hmm.
My health is great, but you know, that's my story. I mean, I have so many more examples of amazing stories, you know, of myself and my clients, and who've really done the deeper work and made these amazing energetic shifts, and then started to see these results in their life.
I love that you know, mentioned such a deep story, because I think that sometimes I completely believe in how we can kind of self-sabotage. And I think that most people think it's in our minds, like, oh, we're self-sabotaging our minds, we're making up these scenarios. But like you said, it can happen in your body, and it can be like these signs within ourselves that we're not even realizing. And so that's amazing.
100%. Yeah, and you know, it's really, really interesting, because people always think we just have to work with the mind, but you're
Yeah.
so right. It's like trauma is stored in the body, subconscious beliefs are stored in the body, and we have to work with the nervous system as well.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, it's really interesting. It's almost like we have to help the body to feel safe again, and the nervous system to feel safe again. And there's a process that we help people, you know, to go through.
I love that. So, speaking of energetic blocks, is there like common ones that you see? Can you give us an example of some of like the most common ones that hold people back?
Yeah, sure. So mostly I see things like self-doubt is a huge one. It's really a fear of not being good enough, and a fear of failure, or fear of judgment. So self-doubt and self-judgment is a huge one. I see lots of procrastination, self-sabotage, negative self-talk. So a lot of the unconscious patterns that people are aware of, almost always aware of, sometimes not aware that that's actually a procrastination technique, but very often they're like, oh, I've noticed that I procrastinate, or that I self-sabotage. And these are all subconscious patterns that are driven by fear. I see a lot of a lack of self-trust and overthinking. So really trying to control everything from logic or from the conscious mind, instead of using the body and the energy.
Yeah.
A lot of my clients also talk about a feeling of lack, you know, of just not having enough in their lives, abundance, money, energy, relationships, love, all those things. And I see so many of these, as I say, stored in the body and the nervous system, not just the mind. You know, we can't think our way out of these things. We have to work with energy first, and then the body and the mind will follow.
Yeah. Wow. So how do you actually rewire our energy or energetic field, and what does that process look like?
So the way that I like to describe it, I talk about this analogy of the hot air balloon, right? Which is, it's kind of like, we imagine if we are a hot air balloon and we have the blue sky without a cloud in it is our vision. It's where we want to go. It's what we know we're destined for. And then we have the hot air balloon, which is us. The fire underneath the hot air balloon that propels it upwards is that true potential. It's that energy. It's that
Mm,
sense of inspiration that we feel. And then we have the sandbags. And the sandbags need to be cut before we can actually move upwards, right? We can't make the sandbags wrong. They are what keeps that hot air balloon in a certain spot so that we know who we are, right? And then we have to cut those sandbags and propel ourselves upwards. So I kind of take people through, generally, I very briefly and basically I break it down into 5 steps. Step 1 is we have to get 100% clear on where we want to go. And most importantly, why. And people often think that they have this this thing clear, but they don't, right? A lot of the time when we really delve deeply into the why and we get clear on where people want to go, they have a lot of ahas and inspirations.
mm,
So step 2, we have to spend some time asking, who do I have to become in order to hold this, what it is that I want, this health or this wealth or this love or this happiness or this abundance? Who do I have to become? And we spend a lot of time really focusing on that. And then we start, once we've defined that, we start cutting the old energy. So we start energetically making sure that we're letting go of the old patterns, the old programs, but really going into our life and assessing the energy in our lives and starting to cut the old. And then when we move into step 4, we have to start setting new standards, new boundaries, and new non-negotiables for that person that we have chosen to become. And when we start to set these new standards and these new boundaries and these new non-negotiables, it's amazing how quickly things start to change. And then we move into step 5 and we start to work with embodiment. And this is really where we start to embody and start to live out the highest self by choosing the high levels of consciousness. And so these steps, I'm giving them to you quite practically
mhm.
because it's not all we've taken the science of energy and brought it into the very practical 5-step process. And there's a lot more to it than this, but this is the basic framework that I take people through. And it's such a beautiful and rewarding and exhilarating process to go through. You know, seeing people change and seeing things really start to change quite quickly. It's really, really beautiful.
Oh, I love that. So you're known for helping people take quantum leaps. What does that actually mean in this context?
So a quantum leap is essentially, I'm sure that there's a lot of people in your audience here who've heard, you know, you've heard people talk about quantum jumping or quantum leaping. A quantum leap is essentially just it's a big shift in a small period of time.
Hmm.
So we're not doing more, but we're really collapsing time and identity to compress time and start doing things in a much quicker period of time. Now, we can either quantum leap and we can step very quickly into a new version of ourselves that operates at a higher frequency. That just means we're going to have to deal with a lot more fear that comes up. And some people are totally ready for that. And they want to jump in and take a quantum leap. It doesn't mean we're skipping the work. It just means that we're not following what we call a linear timeline. Whereas some people prefer to do it in like a year, for example, right? Or 6 months. And that's more of a linear timeline. And that's where we allow the nervous system to play catch up gradually. We kind of do this, what we call the ladder of believability, and we allow ourselves to play catch up. Some people who are sensitive energetically, I know you're an empath, I am too. Sometimes we need a more of a linear timeline and to do it in sort of 6 to 12 months. But either way, you are taking a sensible quantum leap. But a quantum leap in itself just means it's in a shorter period of time. And what we're doing when we do this work, it's intense work, but it's great because people change really, really, really quickly. So it's just a shift in our energy. It's a shift in our identity. And we're leaping into a totally new reality.
Awesome. I'm like sitting here like, oh, that sounds so amazing. But like you said, I am very empathic and I feel like, oh, that kind of sounds like it'd be a big shock to the nervous system.
Yeah. And so you can take a little bit longer to do it, right? It doesn't have to be something that you do, in a month or 2 months, which some people do. It can take 6 months. I prefer to do it that way, and that's beautiful. So you can still get really quick results. I mean, it's amazing what you can do in a few months, but yeah, you don't have to do it in a few weeks or whatever it is if you don't want to.
I love that. So what is one thing somebody that's listening can start doing today to shift from force to flow?
All right, beautiful. So I just want to play pretend for a moment. I want to do this thing called the amnesia exercise. And I want everyone who's listening to this today to imagine that you woke up with functional amnesia. Imagine that you lost your memory, but you could behave and speak and think and move as usual. And you're the same age as you are now, but you forgot everything that defines you. You forgot about your history, your diagnoses, your past experiences, your past relationships, the trauma, the jobs, the achievements, everything that's happened to you in your life. And it doesn't mean they didn't happen. They did, but you don't remember, and they no longer define who you are. And I want you to really think about it and to ask yourself the following questions. If you never learned your shoulds or your shouldn'ts or your not ought tos or your cannots, sorry, my dogs are barking in the background.
Oh.
What would you do? Where would you live? Who would you meet? What would you say? What would you think and how would you act? Where would you travel to? And how would you get around? And, who would you have relationships with? And then the bigger questions we want to ask is, what could you accomplish? And what goals would you choose to pursue if you never had any of those experiences or you didn't remember any of them? And remember that we're just playing pretend, so we don't want to get stuck in whether this is real or not. And we're essentially, what we're doing here is we're creating new standards for ourselves. And the reason I wanted people to ask this question is because when we explore the deeper aspects of self like this, we start to ask ourselves, when I've written all of this down, how is this different from my normal life? And if there's a gap, then we're really stuck in a story and in an old version of ourselves. And identity work is where you start to become unstuck. And when you do this, everything starts to change. And so the first thing we have to do is we have to get clear on who we want to become. And that's kind of what that exercise helps you to do. And to start to move from force to flow, I always get people to tap into the energy of what it feels like to be in that future self, in that new reality, in that person who was not defined by her past. And then when you start to tune into that energy and into that current state and ask yourself the question, are you operating from fear or from trust? When you take a moment to visualize your future self and ask, what energy would she bring to this moment? When anything is happening to you in your life, ask yourself the question, what would she or he do in this moment? How would she act? How would she think? How would she behave? And then act from that energy. And that is from flow, right? That is from your highest potential. It's not from stress. It's not from urgency. It's not from lack. Because even the smallest shift in your energy, just asking yourself these very basic questions can start to unlock flow. And start to notice, I think, Michelle was talking about earlier, notice what it feels like in your body.
Yeah.
Notice what flow feels like. And so I just want to end with this final quote because I know we're really out of time, but I'm South African, and there's a beautiful quote that Nelson Mandela said when he was inaugurated in South Africa. And it's a quote by Marianne Williamson, but it was made famous by him, is that, our deepest fear is not that we are inadequate. Our deepest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure. And it is our light and not our darkness that most frightens us. And we ask ourselves, who am I to be brilliant and gorgeous or talented or fabulous? But actually, who are you not to be? Because your playing small does not serve the world. And so thank you so much for having me on here today.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, I've really, really enjoyed it. And there's a limitless life activation meditation if anybody wants. And it helps to rewire your mind for a state of flow and abundance and success. And it's something that you can do for as little as 15 minutes per day. But thank you.
Thank you so much. That's an amazing gift that you're giving. And I loved that quote at the end. It was a pleasure to have you here. So thank you so much.
You're welcome. I loved it. Thank you so much.
Thank you. All right. I am going to pop you back in. And I'm going to bring up our last person. Hello, how are you?
Hello, hello.
Oh my
Thank you
God.
for having me on this. It's been amazing.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for coming on here and for agreeing to do this with me. I'm super excited to introduce you. So Janelle Watson is the founder of Mind Energy Transformation Movement, helping women reconnect with their soul essence, realign their energy, and remember their inner goddess. Through manifestation, energy alignment, and soul remembrance, she guides women to create real lasting shifts in how they think, feel, and show up in the world. Her work weaves connection, clarity, and calibration to inspire true inner evolution. Welcome, and I love that you have like the goddessness. I feel like that's like a theme, and I so enjoy speaking with you, and I love your title right there, Manifesting Goddess.
Thank you. Yes, it's something that I think we are bringing back into the world, and I think a lot of women get tripped up on being queens or empress energy or whatever it is, and I find goddess is so much more aligned with our power and our flow and who we truly are, and as the essence of us, of who we really, really are. We are goddesses inside, and goddesses create. So people get trapped into thinking, oh, I must do this, I must be like this to manifest, for example. We manifest everything where we are, and goddesses manifest. They create worlds, they create lives. And that's exactly why I use that term, but also it's all about frequency. So it's about remembering that you've got this frequency inside where you too can create the life that you desire, you deserve, that you love being in, that you are, become soul led so that you can feel who you really are rather than just wondering all the time
Mm-hmm.
or being stuck behind labels and roles and, all the stuff that as women we tend to get caught up in
Mm-hmm.
and we forget.
Yes, yes. Um, I want to dive into our questions because I have so many like I don't want you to talk too much yet. But your tagline is remembering your inner goddess as you were like speaking on a little bit. What does that really mean and why is it such a powerful force for women right now?
Well, it's not really becoming something new, which is what a lot of people talk about, having to become something new. It's becoming the real you. It's
Mm,
more like remembering who you are inside.
yeah.
Because once we remember that we really are this beautiful energy, this
Mm,
beautiful essence, and we step into that power, it is the most awakening moment of our lives. And you'll find that you feel so wise. You suddenly don't feel stuck anymore. You feel that you're not trapped under layers of like survival mode or
yeah.
conditioning or roles or, it's reconnecting to your truth. And I don't tend to use the words that other people use a lot because I'm very much about the power of words. So instead of some words, I'll say things like soul essence or true essence,
Mm,
because to me, that's much more powerful. It's much more real. And to me, the energy changes.
yeah.
So when we actually talk about the inner goddess, it really is bringing back your power, your nurturing, your who you truly are, right down to that essence of you. Does that make sense?
Yes, so beautiful, so beautiful. So you speak about the goddess frequency. Can you explain what that is and how we begin to tune into it?
So it's a vibrational state.
Mhm.
It's love, grace, clarity, creation, the divine feminine state. Now, I know that we all know that we have divine masculine and divine feminine energy in us. And the way I tend to see it is a little bit like a plane. We have wings. So there might be times when we tip the plane and we step into our divine feminine or into our divine masculine, and we come back to center to keep the plane flying straight and moving forward.
Oh, I love
So
that.
what I find is that if you've got the vibrational state of being a goddess, you don't tend to find the tilts are too far. You tend to find you're flying straight. So it's about energy alignment and actual being present in the presence of that energy. Because what happens is when you get a little bit out of alignment, we tend to veer off our path. So rather than going straight down, we'll be veering off. And sometimes we go off on these little paths, we get stuck, and then we have to come back to the same place, learn again, and keep moving forward. When you are in that vibrational state, even if you go off down a path, it comes back and joins the road further down. So you're still traveling forward. So with that remembrance, it's remembering who you are. You know, we all get triggered. I just wanted to say, we all have human, and I'm very much about human practices, but it's remembering how to step into that frequency of actually allowing the divine feminine to rise.
Yeah.
So that you are gently, powerfully moving through your life.
Beautiful. So how does energy alignment, manifestation, and soul remembrance work together in your teachings?
So they're not separate. They're interwoven. Manifestation is what we do. As I said before, it is something that we actually do. We create our worlds, and we know that we could both be looking at the same object and see it differently because it is being created differently in our world, in the way that we view things. So manifestation and soul remembrance work together, because once we remember who we truly are, once we step into that remembrance, then we are manifesting at a different level. Then we are actually weaving our alignment into all of who we are and what we do, so that we are then creating a life that we desire, a life that we deserve. And we know we deserve it because we're magnetic. We are truly, truly embodying the magnetic energy of attracting all that we deserve. And we deserve so much, as we are actually beautiful, energetic beings.
I love that you said that we're attracting what we deserve, because I think that can be one of the hangups that people get on, is that they don't believe they deserve it. And I'm with you. I think we all deserve it, whatever it is that our dreams are. But I love that you said that, because just even envisioning things that maybe you desire right now, and maybe the audience is thinking, oh, well, I don't deserve that. Then that's like what you're creating, and that's part of that manifestation work. So what are some of the signs that a woman is out of alignment in her inner goddess, and how does she begin to realign? So kind of like what I just said, if you're thinking, I don't deserve that, how
Being
can we
stuck.
Yeah.
So one of the big words people get stuck on is stuck, right? Love the English language, but there's so many double ups.
Right.
So be feeling stuck or drained or disconnected is one of the signs. But of course, we all get that. Even if we are manifesting goddesses, we also get a little bit stuck or a little bit drained or a little bit, because we're human. We're having this human experience. It's part of our learning, right?
Yeah.
The other thing, though, is they tend to go into people-pleasing mode. And they also tend to lose their spark. Second-guessing their intuition is a really, really big sign. How often happens with your intuition is you get an intuition, and even if you go, wow, that was a good idea, reasoning kicks in, and then you reason it away. So you'll find that women who are out of alignment will be doing that because they don't trust their intuition. They don't trust their inner knowing. They don't feel in sync with their soul. So they're not listening. They're not open to it. And it's with your soul and your spirit team and your guides, they're all talking to you. They're all connecting with you. They're all communicating with you. But a lot of the time, for those of us who are out of alignment, it's like they're talking to us in a massive party. We're in a room where there is music and lots of people talking, and we're both on other sides of the room, and they're trying to get the message to you from the other side of the room across the party. There's all this interference, all this energy that's happening, all this, these thoughts, these processes, these self-doubts, these worries, everything that actually gets in the way of actually hearing the message. And intuitively, if we could listen to our intuition and trust it more, you would find your life would be so much smoother. It would not have these hiccups. So when we actually start to work with our intuition, which is a big thing, not trusting your intuition, when we learn to listen to these little snippets of information, it's a bit more like being with your best friend in an empty room and having a conversation, rather than being other ends of a party and having a conversation. Does that make sense?
Yes, and I like the way you put that. That was amazing. It's made my mind a lot clearer on kind of like those signals and how kind of, I don't know, in my head I'm feeling like a little distorted, like you're trying to yell the message, but there's so much commotion and other background noise that it's partly coming through and you're like trying to make clear of it. So yeah, I love that analogy. That
A
was
lot
great.
of people say tuning in radio stations, which is great, but we don't get the static as much nowadays. That's why I find it's easier to say, because the other thing too is all your thoughts are really words, aren't they, rolling around in your head?
Yes.
So if you've got all these thoughts, these words, this stuff going on in your head, and the poor old guides are trying, or your intuition or your soul is trying to give you this information, it just gets garbled. It just gets caught up in all of this and missed often.
Yes.
So
yes.
you'll find that if they come back to their body, breathe, and then they can listen, it makes it so much easier to actually realign.
Yes, our first speaker was talking about that, like getting grounded and calming the mind to like bring in that. So I love that. And many women feel disconnected with their intuition or unsure of what's like next. What is one simple step they can take today to realign with their soul essence?
Okay. Probably the easiest way is, of course, breath. We've been talking about, and most of us are aware of breath work and breathing.
Yeah.
And so a really simple way is to simply, as long as it's safe to do so, to close your eyes, take a deep breath in, pop a hand around over your heart space and ask, what do I need right now to feel safe, seen, and supported by me?
I love that.
And what that does is it allows us to actually come back to self. That breath in, interestingly, is enough for your brain to just disconnect from the rumble, from everything that's going on. That's all it needs, to just listen to your words. And by popping your hand on your heart, you're reconnecting with your body, but you are also becoming aware and bringing awareness back to that space. So you're like, oh, okay. And we tend to know that we listen to our heart. I am actually teaching my granddaughter at the moment how to put her hand on her heart and feel the heartbeat and listen to that. She's nearly 3. So she says, Grandma can hear my heart. And I think that's a really lovely thing for a child to be able to reconnect with their heart space. And that's one of the things we forget as adults, is that we have this amazing heart space. And our heart is our magnet space that draws in and attracts.
Oh, that's beautiful. I love that you're doing that with your granddaughter. How sweet. So if you could wish something for women to understand about their power, what would that be?
That it's never lost. Your power is not lost, it's just buried. It's just down there. It's soft, it's fierce, it's intuitive, it's wise, it's wildly creative. But you'll find that, it's never lost. People talk about, oh, I've lost my power. Not really. You've just buried it. We just need to get rid of the layers on top of that. And we don't have to force, we don't have to hustle. Just remember who you are and what your power is deep down, and it will start to come back.
Love that. So does the idea of goddess frequency ever feel overwhelming or unreachable for some women? And how would you guide them if it did, through that?
Look, it's perfectly normal for somebody to go, "Oh, I'm not a goddess," because we have these images of what goddesses are supposed
Mm-hmm.
to look like. Um, but to be perfectly honest, it's just simply a case of when you feel joyful and radiant, you've got that goddess energy already. It's starting to sit in. And when you remember what it's like, and we do a 21-second reset or memory reset to raise your vibrational energy. And with that, people find that it's basically remembering a happy thought and keeping hold of it.
Mm.
And what happens is then the rest of our happy thoughts come in to that happy place. And as you are doing that and you're step by step raising your vibrational frequency, it's then remembering that, oh, okay, I do feel happy. I do feel joyful. Oh, this is goddess-like energy. And it helps them to remember that that's what this is all about. It's not about actually being overwhelmed. It's not about being a ruler or being a leader or a CEO in a company or any of those things. It's literally about coming back to self, the power and the energy and the joy of who we really are.
I love that.
Beautiful beings.
So, I have a question, another
Yes.
one, but this is like a personal question. Is the verbiage that you use with the goddess and stuff? I could just imagine that you use that with your granddaughter. Does she go
Yes.
around and she's like, I'm a goddess?
She used to say pretty.
Mm,
Izzy, her name is Isabel, and of course everyone calls her Izzy. But because for a little while she was talking around her dummy, she tends to call herself Iggy a bit,
mm,
which is very cute, I think.
yeah.
So she said Iggy is pretty. So I would actually say, um, Iggy is loving. Iggy is lovely. Iggy is a goddess, and she goes, Iggy is a goddess. She hasn't yet asked me what it is.
Oh, oh, that's so
But
cute.
she's saying all those things, and so her mum's also teaching her to be powerful and strong and
Love
do all
it.
those things as well. But yeah, it was just, yeah, it's and I do say to her, so every time now, she was in the car yesterday, we picked them up from childcare,
Mhm.
and she had her hand on her heart and she goes, Iggy feel heart. Iggy
Oh,
feel. I went, oh, that's beautiful, darling.
yes. Oh my gosh. That's so amazing, and I love that you're instilling that at a young age, and so it sounds like is your daughter. So how beautiful is that?
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for being here. I love what you do, and I love what all the speakers do. And we'll
Yes.
definitely put all your links in those recaps. Is there anything else that you want to touch on today before we?
If they want to get in contact with me, I don't tend to do, I prefer to speak to people. It's all about connection. So I can give you a link. They can book a 30-minute call. We can have a chat about where they're at and what's actually going on. I also have a lovely PDF called Align, Awaken, Ascend. And they are 3 downloaded exercises that I channeled from my spirit team. And one is a mental balance beam. One is actually doing the eye gazing exercise, but with a modern twist. And another one is a word triangle. And each of those are really different, and they help you come back to who you are, to realign your energy, to awaken your insights, and to ascend to new heights.
Oh, I
And
love
they're
it.
really, it's gorgeous. It's really, really gorgeous. And when I first downloaded each of these exercises, I'm like, that's really cool. Oh, this is really awesome. So I love sharing that with people. So it is only a gift that I will gift out to people. It's not something I sell or something I even tend to give my clients. It's something I gift out. So
Oh,
it's a beautiful gift, and I'll share the link with you.
thank you so much, and I'll make sure to include that. Thank you for
Thank
being
you.
on here today.
And thank you for allowing me to be the final speaker. It's been
Yes,
an honor.
same, same. All right. I'm gonna pop you back in. Perfect. All right. Well, I just want to thank all of my speakers today and all of the speakers throughout the summit. This is the end of the Mind Body Evolution Summit, the first one of its kind. Hopefully, there'll be more to follow. Stay tuned. But I want to leave you guys with two amazing things that I've heard in my journey that has really stuck with me. And I think will always stick with me. And they're literally in, I have them sitting here so I can remember them always. And the first one, I believe I heard this from one of my mentors, one of my coaches. I'm not sure. I'm pretty positive which one it was. I have so many people that I inspire me and that I call my mentors. Maybe they don't know it, but this one is right at my desk, and it goes, are you brave enough to step into the next version of yourself? If you decide that you're brave enough and you decide that you're fearless enough to hold yourself accountable for your life, what you want, and who you can become, what does that look like? And the last thing I want to share with you is I think it's a small quote, yet effective, and I'm not sure the origin of it. And maybe it resonates with me because I am a Leo sun. But it goes like this: don't ever dim your light. The sun doesn't give a fuck if it blinds you. It's one of my favorite quotes. So anytime that you are out there and you think that you're too much, or that maybe you don't want to wear that bold red lipstick, I say put it on. Don't dim your light, girl. The sun don't give a fuck if it blinds your ass. All right, you guys, I hope you had an amazing time. I hope you got so much inspiration and knowledge from these amazing, incredible speakers. And I will see you on the next one. I will be doing this again. All right, have a good night.